So welcome back my friends. Today we will do another question on flexible budget. Exam technique. First read the requirement. There are total 5 requirements in this question. What is the first requirement? They are saying what is the advantage of using a flexible budget to evaluate law services results for the last year as opposed to a static budget. Explain your answer. Okay. So they are saying that why we should use flexible budget to evaluate the results as compared to the master budget or static budget. So this we have discussed in a lot of detail now, and I hope you remember this point, that why we are comparing, why we are creating flexible budget, because we need to compare like with like. We need to compare Ferrari with Ferrari. Remember, we need to have a fair comparison, right? But at the same time, comparing static budget with the actual results is also a good comparison. But the better comparison is when you compare flexible budget with actual results. Okay, and we know very well that when you compare the static budget with the actual results, it is called static budget variance. Remember, when you compare the flexible budget with the actual results, it is called flexible budget variance. And then we know very well that flexible budget variance is also called price variance. And if you take the difference between the static budget variance and the flexible budget variance, you will get the volume variance, right? So in short, static budget variance is equal to flexible budget variance plus volume variance, right? This is the equation. Anyways, so you know very well that flexible budget has some advantages which we saw in the very first question we did on flexible budgeting, remember? So I told you, let me open that question for you. If you remember this one, number one, yeah. Oh, sorry, number two it was. Number three, sorry, number three. So in this one, remember we talked about the flexible budgeting. So I told you it is a planning tool, it is a contingency tool, it is an evaluation tool, right? Because in that question they were just asking you an overall benefits of flexible budget, right? And then I told you there is for reference only this benefit, okay, in which we can see that how much of the variance is for price and how much of the variance is for volume. It means how much of the variance is relating to selling less or more units and how much of the variance is relating to charging more or less price. Getting my point, everyone? And then we created this to know that how much of the variance pertains to price and how much of the variance pertains to volume. This is basically one of the benefits of flexible budgeting, that you can break down your variance to know that how much is relating to price and how much relating to volume. So if you remember in this example, when we got the revenue, this is also called total variance. Static budget variance is also called total variance. So total variance is 600,000 good, green, favorable, right? Because the static says you need to make 1 million and actually we made how much? 1.6 million. So we said we have made 600,000 more. So this is good. Then we moved on and we calculated the flexible budget and we found out that due to price we have generated 100,000. How much? Only 100,000 due to price. And due to selling more units, we have generated 500,000. This is the basically insight which flexible budget is giving you. Okay, getting it? Again, 600,000 is the total revenue variance. It means you have generated 600,000 more as compared to your budget, as compared to your static budget, master budget. Out of this 600,000, we got to know that 100,000 is because of charging more price and 500,000 is due to selling more units. Getting the story, everyone? Again, 100,000 is due to charging more price. 500,000 is due to selling more units. I hope you are getting the story. Getting it? This is an advantage of flexible budget, which I wrote here for reference only, that it can be calculated at how much of the static budget variance pertains to price and how much pertains to volume. Getting it? Now when I am coming to this question, let me hide it again, this one and this one. So we are on question number 2, right? And we have this one here, the question here. They are saying, what is the advantage of using flexible budget to evaluate this company's results? Here you cannot write, it is a planning tool, it is an evaluation tool, it is a contingency tool. No, because they are not asking overall benefits. They are asking you why we will use flexible budget to evaluate this company's results for this year as opposed to the static budget. It means they are asking you why we will calculate the flexible budget variance and not the static budget variance. This is the question. Again, they are asking you why we will calculate the flexible budget variance and not the static budget variance. This is the question. Getting it, everyone? And I just explained you in these 5 minutes that why we calculate the flexible budget variance, because we need to know that how much of the static budget variance pertains to price. Getting it? And how much pertains to volume. This is the answer for this question. Getting it? Okay. Then they are asking you explain the process of creating the flexible budget. I will write for you this thing. Just wait. I'm just discussing the question. Explain the process for creating a flexible budget. So remember, in the last 2 questions we did, they were asking you create flexible budget. Here they are asking you explain the process of creating flexible budget. So you will not create the flexible budget. You will just tell how to create it. So remember how we create it. We take the actual base, which can be actual volume, actual units. We multiply with the standard price. Remember, we take the actual base, we multiply with the standard price. This is the way to create a flexible budget. Okay. Again, we will see how to write it in a while. Then they are saying calculate the total static budget revenue variance. We need to know. Then they are saying calculate the flexible budget revenue variance and the volume variance. And you know very well how to calculate all 3 of them. Remember. Now, my friends, in question number 2, they didn't ask you to create flexible budget. But to solve question number 3, you need to create flexible budget. Getting the story? You cannot solve question number 3 if you don't have the flexible budget. Right or not? Tell me in the chat box. Can you calculate flexible budget revenue variance if you don't have the flexible budget with you? Right? So because of that, in your exam, if this type of question is coming, you will create flexible budget on your rough sheet. Getting it? And then you can solve question number 3. We will see. Okay. Question number 4, they are saying, calculate the variable expense variance. Okay. And then they are asking, was the variable expense variance a flexible budget variance or a sales volume variance? Very interesting question. Okay. This is a very nice question on flexible budget. And that's why I am doing it in the end. So now you can easily understand it. Okay. If I will do it in the start, you will not understand anything. What they are saying now, they are saying Law Services Incorporation provides a variety of legal services to its clients. It means we are talking about a service company now. Before we were talking about manufacturing companies. Remember? The firm's attorneys each have the authority to negotiate billing rates with their clients. The company wants to manage its operations more effectively and established a budget at the beginning of the last year. The budget included total hours billed, amount billed per hour and variable expense per hour. It means there are 3 things. Total hours billed, amount billed per hour and variable expense per hour. Very simple budget. Okay, 3 elements are there. Unfortunately, the firm failed to meet the budget and the results are below. So they budgeted that they will they will give service for 6,000 hours to the clients. But actually they were only able to serve for 5,700 hours. Getting this is volume. What is this? Volume, right? What about the amount billed per hour? This is the price, right? This is the price. So 325. They thought they will charge how much? 325. But actually how much they were able to charge? Only 275. Getting the story, everyone? So my friends, let me write here for you that this is volume, right? And this is price. It means we need to know that the variance, the sales revenue variance, how much of it pertains to volume, how much of it pertains to price. We need to know this. Getting it? So because of that reason, we need to create the flexible budget. And this is the answer for the first question. Okay, getting it everyone? So what is the first question? Advantage of using flexible budget to evaluate this company. We will write it here. We will write it can be calculated that how much of the static budget variance pertains to price, right? Now when I'm saying pertains to price, I need to specifically tell about the scenario to get full marks. Bracket open. In this what they are saying, see price, rate, okay? And if you remember, they charge less rate or more rate? Less rate, right? Charging less rate per hour, okay? And how much pertains to volume, okay? Billing less hours. Now see this bracket what I have created, examiner will be so happy to see this. Getting the story? Because he can see that you applied to the scenario. If you just write overall, you know, we will see how much of the variance pertain to price and volume, full stop. It means you didn't apply to the scenario, you will not get full marks. I hope it's clear with everyone. Okay. So make sure you try to apply to the scenario, specifically when the question is mentioning the company's name in the requirement. See, they mentioned the company name in the requirement, so you need to make sure that you apply to the scenario somehow. Okay. Anyways, they are saying explain the process. We don't know the process, right? So we will create the flexible budget. You know very well, I mean, in exam, you know very well how to create the flexible budget. But the simple element here, this is exam technique I told you, better you create the flexible budget. Because when you will create the flexible budget, you can easily answer these two questions. This one and this one. Getting it? Because when you will create it, you can easily write in theory how I created it. And you can also calculate these variances. If you will not create it, you will suffer in requirement number 3. Getting the story? So it will not take much time because this is a small budget, so we can create it. So remember, I told you, whenever you are creating the flexible budget, you need 3 columns. How many? 3. Master, actual, flexible. In this question, they gave you some items like hours billed, amount billed per hour. Right? Let us write it. So hours master how much? Remember 6,000. Actual hours how much? 5,700. Right? Can anyone tell me in the chat box, in the flexible budget, I will take 6,000 hours or 5,700 hours? Very nice. I will take 5,700 hours. Now rate or selling price. I mean SP means what? Selling price. Okay. In this they are saying rate. How much is the budgeted rate? Remember 325. And how much is the actual rate? 275. In the flexible budget, tell me which rate I will take. In the flexible budget, which rate I will take? Remember, when we create the flexible budget, we take the actual base, but the rate we take is standard rate. Getting it? We don't take the actual rate. So which rate I will take? If I will take 275, there is no purpose of making the flexible budget. Getting it? Think about it. If I write here 275, what is the difference between these two and these two? Is there any difference? No, right? So what I will do here? I will write the standard rate like this. Okay. Now I hope this question will clear the concept of flexible budgeting in your mind totally. Trust me. This question will clear the concept. It will be crystal clear once you do this question. Okay. So you can see here which base we are taking, which rate we are taking, right? Can we calculate the revenue by using these two figures? Yes, we can multiply these two and we can get the answer. Right or not? Getting the story, everyone? Okay. So my friends, now the master revenue is 1.95 million, and actually we made less. It's not good year for us. We made very less revenue, right? It means the revenue variance is bad, right? And we need to know how much is this due to selling less units, I mean charging less hours, and how much is due to charging less rate. Okay, getting it, everyone? Okay, now variable rate. Let us go back to the question and see what was the variable rate. So they told you that the budgeted variable expense per hour is how much? 50. This is budgeted, means standard, huh? And the actual total variable expense is how much? $285,000. So per rate, you know the standard figure, and actually you know the total figure for variable. Let us write this. So variable rate, I know that the standard rate is how much? 50. Getting it, everyone? They told you, right? 50. Actually, I don't know the rate. Do I know the rate? They didn't give me the rate, but they gave me total variable expense. How much? 285,000. Getting it? Okay. Do I know how much is my standard variable expense? Do I know? They didn't give me, right? How to calculate it? Can we calculate this figure, this one? Can we calculate this? Okay, I'm making it yellow, and this one also I'm making yellow. We don't know this because this is not given in the question. Very simple, my friends. I know the rate, right? I know the rate and I know the hours. So if I multiply these two, can I get this yellow figure? Here. I will multiply the variable rate with the number of hours. How much will come here? Getting it? If I multiply the rate with the number of hours, I should get the variable expense, master. How much? 300,000. Okay? What about this one? Can I get the actual rate? Very simple. I can take this variable expense and I can divide it with the number of hours. I got to know that the actual rate is also 50. Got it? Everyone? Please write yes in the chat box if you are getting the point. Okay. My friends, tell me. Here what I will take? I will take what? Here. The rate we take in flexible budget is actual or standard? Now see, the tricky thing here is both are 50. Actual is also 50, master is also 50. But to make sure that you don't forget, I am linking it with the formula. So later on when you see this Excel sheet, you don't confuse. See which rate I am taking? Standard. Okay. And similarly here, which rate I am taking? 325, this one. It's very simple. Above it is very simple. Here it was confusing. So just to let you know, we took the standard rate. Standard rate we get from the master data. Okay, here what I will do. Tell me how to get this figure. How to get the flexible variable expense. Very simple. We have the rate, right? We have the rate. And we will multiply this rate with the flexible base. 285,000. Getting it? Okay, so this is the flexible budget ready for you. Now, my friends, they didn't ask you to create the flexible budget. You are doing this in your sheet. In your working sheet, they have given you, you are doing this by pencil or pen. Once you are done with this can be done within 1 minute, by the way. If you are expert in making the flexible budget, which you will be definitely, inshallah, after you do these 3-4 questions. You should be expert. It's not a rocket science. Flexible budget is a very easy topic. Okay. Now see, we have to explain the blue area in theory. Which blue area? This blue area. Okay. I need to tell them. I need to tell to the examiner that why I am taking this as 5700, why I am taking 325, why I am taking 50, like this. I need to tell him in theory. Got the point? Okay. See, I have a comment for you here. Only write this theory in exam if this type of question is asked. So don't write any calculation because they just asked you explain the process of creating flexible budget. There is nothing written here, calculate, show your calculation, nothing. So don't become over smart and don't waste your time. So let us go back and write here how to create the flexible budget. So we will say the starting point, okay, the starting uh, point, right, to create the flexible budget is to use the actual hours billed, right, actual hours billed as a base. So we remember we are taking this 5700, so we are writing about 5700 now, that this is the starting point. Okay, the next thing, see in this question how many elements we have? We have two elements, revenue and variable expense. So we need to tell them how we got this 1852 and how we got this 285,000. This is the point. Okay, so we can say in order to calculate the flexible revenue, okay, what we need to do, remember, multiply what with what? Multiply the actual hours billed with the standard rate per hour, right or not? What I did, how I got 1852, I multiplied 5700 with 325, and I'm telling him what is 5700, what is 325. That's it, no rocket science here. Okay, and the third point you need to make for variable expense, you will tell them finally, see this is the way to write in exam. When you're writing, see there is an introduction, there is a body, there is a conclusion. This is called essay writing skill. So when you are writing a theoretical answer, you need to use these words. You know, firstly, secondly, thirdly, lastly, last but not the least, nevertheless, therefore, because. Getting it? Please make sure. Okay, finally, to calculate the flexible variable expense, multiply the actual hours billed with the standard variable rate per hour. Getting it? Same thing, just we need to multiply with the standard variable rate per hour, which is 50. Okay, how we got to 85,000? We multiplied 50 with 5700. Okay, so this is basically the answer for question number 2. Easy, difficult? Very easy. I am telling the examiner how I got this. Sorry, how I got this. Okay, and how I got this, and how I got this. That's it. Okay, don't write the figures in exam. As I said, only blue area is required. Please write yes in the chat box if you got question number 2. Now my friends, we are going to question number 3. They are asking you calculate the static budget variance, calculate the flexible budget variance and volume variance, which is a piece of cake for you because you already calculated this data in front of you. Getting it? So what I have done is I have copy pasted here. I will copy paste this data here below. Okay. So let me just hide this one 4 and 5 to make it clear for you. Okay. So this is the third one. And I can just copy paste, see hours rate per rate revenue variable rate. Okay, so let us see, let me unhide again. Okay, variable expense. Okay, let me copy paste this one here. Okay, so data is copy pasted in front of you and I have written above ABC. Okay, what I have written ABC. Now remember, if I need the static variance, what I need to do? I need to compare master with actual or not? Remember, if you need static, what to do? You need to compare master with actual. Very nice. I don't need to compare hours. I need the dollar figure. The variance we are calculating is in dollars. Okay, and these are the dollar figures. This one and this one. Okay, remaining are the rates and hours. That is fine. Okay, let us see what is the figure here. Static variance, revenue, this minus this, right? So we got to know that the static revenue variance is 382,500, and we also got to know that the static variable variance is 15,000. I hope you can see this clear. Okay, is it clear, everyone? Or I shall zoom in? Shall I zoom in? Okay, fine. So now, my friends, as I told you, in variances we don't need plus minus sign. We need to know it is good or bad. And how to see it is good or bad, let us see. How I got 382 500? I have compared these two figures, right? So master is saying you need to make 1.9 million. Actually, we just made how much? Only 1.5 million. This is good or bad? Very bad. This is not good. So that's why this is U, unfavorable. Okay. What about this one? 15,000. Master is saying you have 300,000 to spend on variable expense. Actually, we just spent 285,000. So this is good or not? This is good. Although see, both are plus. Both are plus figures. But one is unfavorable, one is favorable. That's why I'm saying don't go for plus minus sign. Some people, they try to remember if it is plus, favorable, if it is minus, unfavorable. No, it's not like that. Okay. So this is your static variance. So in exam, you will tell him that the static revenue variance is 382 500, bracket open, how you calculate it. So you will tell him, okay, I have taken this minus this. That's it. Because you cannot create all this in the notepad, there are no cells there. Okay. Okay, what about the flexible variance? Remember how to get the flexible variance? We need to have the difference between flexible and actual. Let us see. Right? So we got to know how much? 285,000. So this is good or bad? How to remember this? Flexible means what? Flexible means what should have been done. So we are saying you should have earned 1.8 million revenue. But actually how much you earned? Only 1.5 million revenue. Again bad. Not good. Variable expense. Flexible variance. Okay. Let us see. I can copy this formula here. Nothing. No variance. Why? Because your flexible is also 285 and your actual is also 285. So no variance. Right? Okay. Remember this sales volume variance is the third variance we can calculate. And basically this is the difference between static and flexible. Right or not? See, I have a comment for you here. In flexible variance, what we are trying to say? We are saying what we got to know basically. This 285,000 is what? This is relating to volume or price. Remember, I told you flexible variance is a price variance. Remember or not? Okay. So this 285,000 is telling us that we have charged less price. We know we have charged less price, but overall we have generated 382,500 less revenue, and out of this 382,500 less revenue, 285,000 is due to charging less price. Getting the story? So definitely the remaining amount is due to selling less units or charging less hours or not. I mean, if I take the difference between 382,500 and 285,000, this will be my volume variance. How much? Getting the story, everyone? Okay, so if I take the difference here, it will give me 97,500 unfavorable. Okay. So I will say that 97,500 is due to billing less hours. See, I have written here a comment for you. We have billed less hours, and this is the loss we made due to billing less hours. Now see, can you assign the responsibility or not? Now you can assign the responsibility. You can assign the responsibility that okay, those people who were responsible to get the clients, because this is a lawyer company, those who were responsible to do marketing and getting the clients, they failed, and they failed to get the required number of clients, and because of that we lost 97,500. However, because we gave the opportunity to the lawyers, getting it? We gave the opportunity to the lawyers to give discounts. They can reduce the rate themselves, you know. Because of that reason, we lost how much? $285,000. That's a big loss. Getting it? Because if you remember, this is a huge discount. They budgeted they will charge 325, but actually they charged how much? 275. Around $50 less they charged to the clients. And because of that, the main problem is charging less rate, not billing less hours. All this you don't have to write. This is I am telling you what you got to know from this analysis. Getting it? Because they asked you just calculate the variance. Okay. See, they said show your calculation. They are not saying comment on it or something. If they say comment on it, so this is whatever I just told you, you have to comment like that. Getting it? Like the question we did last time, they were asking, remember, explain the significance of these variances. So we were telling them, okay, we sold for more price, we purchased material for more price, we charged labor less rate, like that. Okay. Now see question number 4. They are asking you calculate variable expense variance. Okay. By the way, in question number 3, they were only talking about revenue. This line only. This is only question number 3 for you, this row. Because they were only asking you how much is your static revenue variance. This is the answer. Flexible revenue, sales volume. That's it. These 3 figures. In question number 4, they are asking you this row, this one. Calculate the variable expense variance. Getting it? Now see, very tricky question. Examiner is silent. Examiner is not saying calculate variable static variance or variable flexible variance. He is not saying like that. Okay, remember in question number 3 he was saying like that. I need all 3. But in question number 4, examiner is silent. He is only saying calculate the variable expense variance. So what to do? You need to calculate the total variable variance. It means static. If examiner is silent, which variance you will calculate? Let me write here for you. Static. Okay, if examiner is silent, you will calculate the static variance. Let us see how much is the variable static variance. It is 15,000 favorable. How much? 15,000 favorable. Okay. What is the next question? They asked you, was the variable expense variance which you just calculated above, it is a flexible budget variance or it is a volume variance? Very, very amazing question. I love this question. Why? They are asking you this 15,000 what you just calculated. It is due to price or volume. Getting it? So if this is due to price, there should be something written in the flexible column. Getting it or not? But you see how much is written there? Nil. Or not? Nil. Why the flexible variance is nil? Because it is not a price variance. Getting it? Remember 50 and 50, same. It is not a price variance. So what is it? It is a volume variance because of charging less hours. Remember? 5,700 hours and 6,000 hours. This is the difference. So the whole amount is coming here. See? This amount, if I calculate, this whole amount will come in under the volume variance because in the flexible variance there is nil. So you will tell the examiner that okay, just write favorable here. Just tell them that okay, the variable expense variance is a sales volume variance, right? Because the actual variable rate per hour is same as the standard. Getting it? Variable expense variance is a sales volume variance. Why? Because rate is same. There is no change in the rate. That's why it is relating to volume. Getting it? Or not? Please write yes in the chat box if you got the point. So this is the conclusion of this question number 2, flexible budget. So we have done around 3 essay questions on flexible budgeting, and this will really help you to grasp this concept.